What if I told you that the guy who made AI possible now regrets it? Yep, the same man who helped machines learn to think is now warning the world. This is the story of Geoffrey Hinton, the man many call the godfather of deep learning. If you've ever used ChatGPT, scroll through TikTok, or ask Siri a dumb question just for fun, you've already felt his impact. But behind the scenes, Hinton's story is full of genius, obsession, ethical dilemmas, and lately, a growing fear that he may have opened a Pandora's box.
Well, because they might take over.
In this video, we're going deep, not just into deep learning, but into the man who shaped it, his breakthroughs, his struggles, and why, after decades of pushing AI forward, he's now slamming the brakes. Geoffrey Hinton didn't set out to be a tech rock star. In fact, his early days were far from glamorous. Born in 1947 in the UK, Hinton grew up in a family that literally had science in its blood. His great-great-grandfather was George Boole, yep, that Boole, the guy who invented Boolean logic. So, yeah, no pressure at all. But Hinton wasn't about chasing fame or money. He was obsessed with one question: how does a human brain work? And can we build something that works the same way? While most people in computer science were focused on writing rules and logic for machines, Hinton wanted machines to figure things out by themselves, just like humans do. The mainstream computer science crowd thought he was nuts. They were like, why would you build something that learns? We can just program it. But Hinton didn't budge. In the 1980s, artificial intelligence was going through what's known as the AI winter. Basically, the tech world had grown tired of big promises and no real results. Neural networks, systems inspired by the way neurons fire in the human brain, were considered a dead end. But Hinton, he bet everything on it. In 1986, along with David Rumelhart and Ronald Williams, he published a famous paper on the backpropagation algorithm. Sounds boring. Was actually revolutionary. Backpropagation is what allows a neural network to learn from its mistakes. Kind of like how kids learn that touching a hot stove is a bad idea. Before that, neural networks were like stubborn toddlers that never learned anything. This paper was like throwing gasoline on the fire. Suddenly, a whole new world opened up. But still, progress was slow. Computers back then were weak. Datasets were small. The big breakthroughs Hinton dreamed of would have to wait. Throughout the 90s and early 2000s, most researchers abandoned neural nets for more sophisticated methods like support vector machines. Meanwhile, Hinton kept tinkering in the shadows, like a mad scientist was soldering iron and a dream. It wasn't just stubbornness. Hinton knew the potential. He famously refused funding from the military because he didn't want AI to be used for killing. He once said, I refuse funding from the Department of Defense because I didn't want to make killing machines smarter. Instead, he kept trying to solve the puzzle. How can machines see, hear, and think like humans? And then, finally it happened. Fast forward to 2012. Hinton, now a professor at the University of Toronto, was working with two students, Alex Krashevsky and Ilya Sutskever. Together, they built a neural network called AlexNet. They entered it into the ImageNet competition, a kind of Olympics for computer vision, where algorithms compete to identify images. AlexNet didn't just win, it crushed the competition. Like, imagine running a marathon and beating the second-place guy by half an hour. It reduced the error rate by a staggering margin, shocking everyone. Suddenly, the AI world was like, wait, neural nets actually work? That moment, that was the turning point. The world of AI would never be the same again. After AlexNet, things snowballed fast. Google came knocking and bought Hinton's startup, DN Research, in 2013. He became a part-time researcher at Google Brain. His students, they became AI royalty. Ilya Sutskever co-founded OpenAI. Jan LeCun went on to become chief AI scientist at Meta. Yoshua Bengio became a leading researcher in generative models. Together, these three, Hinton, Bengio, and LeCun, won the 2018 Turing Award, which is basically the Nobel Prize of computer science. Deep learning went from underdog to champion in record time. Now AI could recognize faces, translate languages, write poems, diagnose diseases, all thanks to the groundwork Hinton laid down. But here's where things get complicated. As AI got stronger, it also got weirder. Hinton always believed AI would eventually match human intelligence, but he thought that would take 30 to 50 years. Then, around 2022 and 2023, with models like GPT-3, ChatGPT, and Midjourney blowing people's minds, Hinton started to worry, not just because of how powerful AI had become, but because of how fast it was evolving. He realized AI wasn't just copying human thinking. It might actually be creating forms of intelligence we don't understand. That freaked him out. In May 2023, Geoffrey Hinton made headlines around the world. He quit Google. Why? So he could speak freely about the dangers of the technology he helped create. He told the New York Times, "I console myself with a normal excuse. If I hadn't done it, somebody else would have." He warned about misinformation at scale, AI that can generate fake news and deep fakes. Job loss, especially in white-collar sectors. Autonomous weapons, AI-controlled drones. Superintelligence, AI that can outsmart and manipulate humans. And the scariest part? Even he doesn't know how to stop it. Hinton's resignation was like Einstein quitting physics and saying, "Hey, maybe splitting the atom wasn't such a great idea." Now, the world is asking, if Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of deep learning, is scared, shouldn't we be too? But it's not all doom and gloom. Hinton isn't anti-AI. He's not saying we should stop research. He just wants governments, companies, and society to treat AI with the seriousness it deserves, like nuclear energy or climate change. He believed there's still time to steer the ship, but only if we act fast. Geoffrey Hinton's story isn't just about one man's obsession with mimicking the brain. It's about vision, sacrifice, relentless pursuit. He spent decades being ignored and doubted, and in the end, he turned the tide of technology. But now, as the world races to build smarter and smarter AI, Hinton is urging us to slow down and think, not just about what AI can do, but about what it should do. Subscribe for more videos on people who help build AI.